And finally, we have come to chapter 12 of the manga review for The Promised Neverland. Spoilers alert, so if you're not up to reading the manga, then please skip this, as I will be discussing plot points for this chapter and future plot points as well. Gilda is one tough woman. She is shown in the manga as a very strong-willed person who's not going to back down. I love the cover art in this chapter because it's as if the house, the orphanage, the hallway was warped, and that's the theme that I am loving through into to the Promised Neverland because of the mysteries. Like, it's as if Gracefield House Orphanage is a haunted house, and that's what I love. And even Emma's shadow is creepy with her long hands, so that's a really thrilling sight to see. Gilda is strong-willed when Crone is interrogating her into revealing the truth. But since Gilda was told by Norman to keep secret what she knows, she tried to saw it through. She tried to see it through, that she's sturdy, that she's not gonna give in to Sister Crone's attempts to leak information from her. And then Gilda had moments of doubt because when Sister Crone asks her, Emma must be hiding something from you. You can come talk to me anytime. And then Gilda has that slight doubt of trusting Emma. And even Emma was listening to their conversation about Gilda and Crone, on what their conversation is about. Emma is hesitating at the beginning whether Gilda is the spy, but she listened on and confirmed that she's not the traitor or the spy, and that she's an ally. Gilda was crying, and she remembered how Crone is trying to tell her that if you have anything that you would like to talk about, then please come talk to me. So that planted seeds of doubts in Gilda's mind, and I believe such thoughts or conversations from a person who you don't trust, like Crone, is something to be cautious about, because as you know, The Promised Neverland is a manga or a story about manipulation, tactics, strategy, and that's what I love about the series, because it's not a shonen battle regular story, but rather from the pre-draft, Shirai, the author of the manga, is telling that he wanted to stray away from the basic formula of shonen, from the action fighting scenes, and that this is a psychological warfare. And that's really interesting because that's something realistic in this world. How are you gonna outmaneuver the demons of this society, or the strange the antagonist of this society in your life? So that's really something that The Promised Neverland is teaching the readers like me. Another thing that I love about this chapter is Ray and Norman's conversation. Side note, just to say, they don't have any machines or 21st century objects in that orphanage, so that's why they're using the basin to wash their laundry and no washing machine. They're using their own hands to wash the plates and not any dishwasher. So that's why they're doing everything manually in this house, which I think it's kind of refreshing, even though this is 2045. It really is an anachronism. I think that's what you call it, anachronism, to see how the events and settings are taking place. Even the objects of the house, it's showing that they live in 2045, but then they're using these basic ways, washing their laundry, washing their plates manually, to show that they lack the technology in the orphanage to do such simple house chores. Of course, and then Norman and Ray's conversation went to the point that maybe Sister Crone is acting independently, so she has her plans of her own. And then Norman asked Ray, why do you think the spy is doing that? Why is he betraying? And Ray answered two answers: because there's a benefit to that person, that person won't be shipped out immediately, and there's an opportunity for that person or for that spy to become an adult, guaranteeing safety for his own life. Norman responded, Norman emphasized a guarantee to live, and Don and Gilda realized that the training of tag that Emma is playing with the younger children is a way for them to build up their muscles so that they can run quicker. Another highlight that I wanted to talk about is when Norman asked Emma what would she do if she knows that one of the children is becoming a pawn for the demons, and Emma paused for a moment, but then quickly outright said, I'll take them with us. I'll drag them if I have to, because there's no real guarantee that that person might live or that person's life will be spared. It just goes to show that Norman, even though he is relying on his judgment, that he still needs Emma's emotional intelligence to balance his smart to balance his smarts and to balance his let's say his intellect, because Norman relies on his intellect. He is relying on his logic very much. He lacks that emotional intelligence, and that's the reason why he's asking Emma these moral questions. Are you gonna bring that spy with us even if you know that that child is a pawn of the demons? Emma is superb. She is overflowing with kindness, goodness, and self-control and love for her family and her siblings. She outright said, I want to take them with us. I will take them with us and will drag that person if I have to, because there's no guarantee that that person's life will be spared if even if he or she becomes a pawn of the demons. And then it's skipped to some of the dialogue, so that it just skipped to Norman saying, of course you would say that, Emma, showing that Norman confirmed his what Emma's ideals are. And I believe that's the reason. Emma is the very reason why Norman's kindness is overflowing, and without Emma's love and kindness, you know that Norman is gonna go twisted in a dark way because he's relying on his judgment and on logic. I believe that Emma's love for her family is Norman's crutch to redirect Norman to the correct direction, or to make the correct and morally right decisions in his life. Without Emma's kindness and morality, Norman is a lost boy, and that's the reason why volume 16 is titled Lost Boy. In the cover art for that volume, we see Norman eating demon meat, and that's corrupt and twisted in his own ways, especially in that arc, the Seven Walls arc. We already know that Ray and Norman flip personality. Ray is becoming like this dark, shadowy figure on the jailbreak arc, and Norman is counteracting that. However, when we get to the Seven Walls arc, Norman became the twisted genocide Norman, but Ray is totally supporting Emma all the way because he has flipped his personality. He has turned over a new leaf. And finally, going back to chapter 12, we see Norman trying to look for the rope underneath his bed and realize that the rope is not there. And finally, he looked at Ray in the eye, and I really love how Shirai and Posca Demisu showed this panel in the manga. Like, look at Ray straight in the eye, with like his face darkened, confronting Ray, you're the spy, aren't you? And that's a cliffhanger on its own. Very impressive. I can't believe that this draft stayed about like almost like this for about 3 years, because I read in an interview article that Shirai didn't get the publishing the opportunities to publish his draft for TPN. TPN at that time it was just a draft. It was 300 pages, about 15 chapters worth, or 2 volumes worth, and it has so many things that are sloppy or different according to Shirai, because it doesn't have the input of his editor. And I believe what the manga is now, the first volume or the first 4 volumes or first 5 volumes, is a representation of Shirai's vision of the draft when TPN was generated for about 2014 until 2017. And even at that time, he doesn't know what he's capable of, what his talents can bring out into the world. And I'm just so impressed when I read that interview article that he wants to leave traces, physical traces of his maybe his part of his mind or his creation to this world piece by piece, and that's what made him to be a great mangaka or a storyteller. And I really love that about that about Churai, because he gave readers an opportunity to see things in a different worldview, and that's why I'm reading and loving TPN so much, even at this point, even if it's chapter 169 that was released yesterday, March 1st, 2020. So that's my review for The Promised Neverland chapter 12. Let me know what you think, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to this. Thank you very much, and have a great day.